Yu is painfully average. The only reason he gets into Saika Academy of Elites is because his late mother Subaru was a world-renowned prodigy and actress admired everywhere for her talent and beauty. On his first day Yu is thrown into the boxing ring and utterly humiliated by the martial arts vice captain. The crowd mocks him, wondering how such a weakling could be Sabara's son. Fueled by memories of his mother, Yu charges forward, but his burst of power is just a couple of soft pokes that don't even faze his opponent. Once again he's labeled a disappointment. Still, Yu smirks and points out how the average worship talent like it's divine. For a moment the trainer sees something in Yu's eyes, Sabara's same intensity, but dismisses it and prepares to beat him down. Just then an orange-haired fighter storms in, blasting the vice captain across the dojo. She's Nico, captain of the martial arts club. Moments later, two more prodigies appear. Kazuki, a superstar actress, and Miwa, shogi champion. Together they're known as the school's three royals. Curious if Sabara's son inherited her genius, they demand Yu's results. But when the trainer calls him a complete noob, the royals dismiss him as useless. Yu simply shrugs and reveals he's already enrolled in the general education program, a department so obscure the royals didn't even know it existed. Mocked further, he's forced to clean the dojo, but when Nico and her squad return later they're shocked to find it spotless. Walking home, Yu reflects on how he's never denied being a disappointment. While his mother excelled in everything, he failed at every talent he tried. Yet his fondest memory with her was watching a simple drama where a family dinner closed each episode. Before her death she admitted her dream was a warm family like that, and asked Yu to find one for himself. Soon after, Yu receives keys to a mansion from Mr. Mikadono, his mother's old friend. But when Yu enters, Nico mistakes him for a burglar and attacks, only to trip and humiliate herself. Miwa and Kazuki then appear demanding answers. A phone call from Mikadono clears things up. Yu is to live in the mansion with his three daughters, Nico, Kazuki, and Miwa, and become a family. Yu recalls his mother's dying wish and accepts, though the three prodigies are less than thrilled. The mansion turns out to be a disaster zone. Kazuki breaks every dish she touches, Miwa ignores chores for shogi, and Nico treats the house like a dojo. Yu mocks them, but while they bicker he silently transforms the place into a spotless home. They're stunned. Yu may not be a prodigy, but he's a natural homemaker. The next morning Yu hopes to bond with them over breakfast, but each girl dives into her own world. Nico punches tiles in her dojo, Miwa debates with a shogi AI, and Kazuki brews suspicious shakes in the kitchen. When he tries inviting them to eat together they brush him off, leaving him with the same lonely feeling he once had with his mother. Still, Yu persists. He cooks, cleans, and even teases Nico when she tries to resist his meals, pointing out that even prodigies fall sometimes. His small gestures, like wishing them a good day, begin to chip away at their walls, though they won't admit it. Later Mikadono calls, explaining that each daughter faces major trials ahead. Kazuki's audition, Nico's national karate tournament, and Miwa's title defense in shogi. He asks you to support them, not with genius but simply by being there. Though Yu doubts what someone talentless can do, he recalls his mother's words and resolves to try. After all, maybe his gift isn't talent but creating the kind of family she always dreamed of. With the physique of a chihuahua and the brainpower of a vacuum cleaner, Yu doubts he can ever help three prodigies who don't rest even on weekends. But then it hits him: if they fail they'll be branded as failures just like him. Determined not to let them suffer the same fate, he swears to support them, starting with something simple: family dinners. One evening Nico returns home from training exhausted. She remembers the house slave living under the same roof and nearly jumps out of her skin. Yu proudly offers her a taste of his cooking, but she smugly rejects it, insisting she doesn't need his creamy stuff. Undeterred, Yu dives into dozens of recipe books, determined to prepare the ultimate meal. His tireless effort annoys Nico, but when she later sneaks into the kitchen and finds a feast waiting, curiosity wins. Yu jumps out, explaining how every dish is packed with protein, vitamins, and minerals to fuel her training. Overwhelmed by his effort, Nico reluctantly sits down to eat. Soon after, Miwa wanders in, drooling at the sight. Yu catches her trying to sneak a bite and bombards her with nutrition facts until she gives up and joins them. Watching her sisters share a rare laugh, Nico softens too, though she tries to hide it. But their moment is ruined when Kazuki arrives. Disgusted at the idea of eating peasant food together like a normal family, she shoots Yu down cold. Seeing his crushed expression, Nico tries cheering him up by eating extra, only for Yu to warn her she'll turn into a teddy bear if she keeps stealing portions, embarrassing her even more. 3 days pass. Nico and Miwa warm up to Yu, but Kazuki still refuses his cooking. Remembering their father's request to help the sisters, Yu decides to confront her directly. At school, he watches as crowds of fans shower Kazuki with praise. Yu boldly approaches, claiming he has something only he can give her. His words are obviously about food, but the phrasing makes her fans blush and Kazuki furious. With Nico and Kazuki resisting, Yu turns to Miwa. He catches her quietly playing shogi in class, far removed from her peers. When he tries inviting her to lunch, she brushes him off, but Yu stubbornly follows her, turning it into an impromptu game of tag that makes her laugh for the first time. Out of breath, she admits she can't relate to her classmates as one of the royals. Yu says he understands. He too is royal, though in failure, stupidity, and shortness. His goofy honesty irritates her, but she warms up. During lunch, Yu asks for advice on winning Kazuki over. Miwa recalls one rare memory. When they were little, Kazuki smiled brightest after their mother cooked something special just for her. Soon after, Kazuki collapses with a fever. Stubborn as ever, she refuses help and throws Yu's porridge out. Yu however barges into her room insisting she needs rest or she'll miss rehearsals. Frustrated she asks why he won't leave her alone. Yu fires back that he wants her to succeed, and even offers to tutor her in acting. Though she mocks him, he stubbornly returns day after day practicing lines with her. His acting is terrible, but his persistence impresses her. One night Yu breaks down confessing that despite countless auditions arranged by his mother he failed every single one. Kazuki, moved despite herself, joins him for a scene. Kazuki smiles, refreshed by his sincerity. Finally she agrees to let him serve her food, on one condition. Acting shy, she blurts out a long list of things she doesn't like, revealing she's actually a picky eater, too embarrassed to admit it. Yu realizes he's found her weakness, and for the first time Kazuki shows a softer side. The next day Miwa and Nico nearly faint in sync as they watch Kazuki calmly eat Yu's cooking like it's the most natural thing in the world. Yu praises her for finishing her soup like a good girl, but Kazuki coolly admits she'll eat anything, so long as it doesn't have carrots. That's when he smugly reveals he shredded carrots into the dish the whole time, leaving her trembling in disbelief. Finally Yu breathes a sigh of relief. He's hooked all three sisters on his cooking, but the victory doesn't last. The next day the sisters announce they'll be out all day for training and rehearsals, meaning he won't need to cook. Left behind, Yu awkwardly waves them off, feeling like a house husband suddenly divorced. It reminds him of his mother, who was always away working. That distance, he thinks, is what kept them from growing close. Staring out the window, he remembers a hospital note from her wishing he'd one day have a happy family. But he realizes he doesn't even know what that means. Searching for answers, he binges his mom's old family drama where she plays the perfect mother in a flawless, drama-free household. Watching her wedding scene makes him cry, but also forces him to confront reality. His family is nothing like the show. Just then the sisters return home. They find Yu wiping his tears and tease him for being emotional over TV. But when Kazuki notices it's his mom on screen, her expression softens, realizing he still longs for family warmth. She tells him he doesn't need to overwork himself trying to be their stay-at-home dad. Miwa backs her up. Nico casually adds he's welcome to freeload since they never expected much anyway. That infuriates him. Yu confesses the reason he works so hard is because he regrets never trying to bond with his mom. He refuses to repeat the mistake and swears he won't miss his chance at building a happy family with them. Nico mutters that happy families are a fantasy from TV, while Kazuki, embarrassed, quickly changes the subject. Yu suddenly points at Nico, declaring she's the one he's chosen. The sisters short-circuit as he awkwardly explains families should know things like birthdays and ages. They promptly kick him back into the trash zone. Later Nico tries to relax in the bath but grows flustered when she overhears Yu's pathetic wailing from the kitchen. Thinking there's trouble, she rushes out half-dressed, only to find him crying over the lack of bread for sandwiches. Furious at his nonsense, she storms off, bumping into Miwa, who instantly notices her unusual redness. Miwa starts analyzing the cause, but when Yu appears carrying towels and their hands brush her own heart betrays her. Flustered, she bullies him to cover it up. Nico accuses her of having a crush too, sparking chaos while Yu silently folds towels caught in the crossfire. Kazuki eventually steps in, scolding her sisters to act their age, but when Yu innocently asks her help reaching the top shelf, she complies, and nearly melts when he thanks her with a smile. She hides it well, but Nico and Miwa immediately call her out, sparking a heated sisterly quarrel. Fed up, Yu yells at them to stop fighting because they're family. The girls stare at him in disappointment before storming off, leaving Yu to clean up the wrecked living room. As he tidies, he reflects that life isn't as perfect as TV dramas, but even messy dinners with them feel precious. That's when he discovers an old photo of the sisters as adorable children. Overcome by nostalgia, he wonders who kept it, suspecting one of them secretly misses their lost family warmth. But the next morning all three go their separate ways, shutting down his investigation. Still curious, Yu digs into their event schedules and learns they'll be in the same seaside town. That night when the sisters complain about hotel bookings, Yu proudly reveals he already arranged rooms for them. They're stunned, though not exactly pleased. Nico grows flustered when he teases she can't survive without him. At Miwa's shogi tournament, she demolishes her opponent in seconds. On her way out, she's told her next match is against a 4th grade master. She brushes it off, but a breathtaking view of cherry blossoms stirs childhood memories. Back at the hotel, her jaw drops when she spots Kazuki checking in, followed by Nico. The three sisters realize they've all been booked at the same place, by none other than Yu. Smirking, he says since they never talk, he took the liberty of arranging some family bonding time. They rage when they learn he put them in the same room, but Yu brushes it off, declaring himself their festival guide. They resist until he mentions a famous shrine where even Hollywood stars pray for success plus fresh seafood from the coast. Unable to resist, they reluctantly agree, Kazuki pretending it's all for her Instagram. At a kimono shop, the sisters are dressed up. A graceful design for Kazuki, a playful cat motif for Miwa, but Nico sulks, insisting she wouldn't look good in one. Flashing back to their father forbidding her from buying anything feminine, she snaps at the clerk. That's when Yu appears holding a beautifully girlish kimono, declaring it perfect because she's the cutest girl he knows. Nico freezes. Blushing, she takes both outfits to the fitting room. When she steps out hair-tied and dressed elegantly, all three sisters are left speechless. For a moment the bickering stops, because even they can't deny how breathtaking she looks. The next day the not-so-typical family heads to the festival. Miwa admits she's starving, prompting Yu to warn her not to wander too far. But before long the crowd recognizes Kazuki. Fans swarm her begging for autographs. You had hoped the sisters would bond today, but Kazuki slips into work mode while her sisters quietly enjoy their food. When a nearby girl's sandal breaks, Kazuki catches her mid-fall and earns admiration even from those who weren't fans. Escorting the girl like a heroine only adds to her shine but also leaves you struggling to keep track of her in the chaos. When she finally returns, fangirls trailing behind her, Yu suddenly yanks her into the bushes. She's furious, ready to blow up at him, but he calmly hands her food and tells her to enjoy the festival for herself. She pouts, insisting he can't bribe her with food forever, until he notices her injured foot. He gently bandages it, telling her she doesn't need to live up to anyone's expectations but her own. Meanwhile, Nico and Miwa attempt festival games. Just then Kazuki rejoins them, wearing a goofy mask you forced on her for disguise. He suggests a match, Kazuki and him versus Nico and Miwa. The game instantly devolves into a sibling brawl, which Yu decides to leave them to figuring its rare bonding in disguise. He wanders into the main event, a near impossible challenge where participants leap across lotus platforms toward a shrine gate. The prize? A selfie with the shrine's golden guardian statue, rumored to bring absurd luck. The sisters once cleared this game together years ago, their victory photos still famous. Yu, inspired, decides to recreate that memory. Contestants flop one after another, the platforms are rigged to sink, turning it into a real-life Fall Guys. Even veterans fail and the hosts admit no one's cleared it in 10 years, except the Mikadono sisters. Yu gives it a shot and instantly sinks. Most would quit, but he stubbornly keeps trying, crashing into the water again and again. Hours pass, the rain pours, but he refuses to quit. The hosts tell him it's pointless, pure luck decides it, but Yu recalls the sisters winning by moving in perfect sync. He pushes forward, battered but determined, and finally reaches the gate. Instead of celebrating, he bolts off, determined to bring the sisters for a new photo. But the festival ends early due to rain and he collapses, convinced he's failed again. Just then the three prodigies appear with umbrellas. They ask why he never came back, and Yu admits he thought they'd ditch him. They scold him gently, of course they wouldn't. Handing him an umbrella, they call him their festival conductor and insist he lead the way back. Later, back at the hotel, Yu sheepishly reveals he forgot to book a room for himself and planned to crash in a cafe. The sisters won't allow it and drag him into their room, claiming it would disgrace their name to let him freeze outside. After more awkwardness, like him forgetting to pack a robe, they finally settle in. Yu, exhausted, quickly falls asleep, but the sisters lie awake, hearts pounding. The story rewinds. Yu had actually succeeded in taking a new shrine photo with them before the rain hit. He clowned around so much it ruined the shot, but the sisters couldn't stop laughing. In the present, he finds the original childhood photo missing from his bag, replaced by a note. Miwa had kept it all along. That night, as Yu sleeps soundly, the sisters quietly talk. They laugh about old memories, realizing how little time they spent together despite living under the same roof. Miwa finally admits she was the one who kept the original photo safe, chuckling at how far Yu went just to make them take another one. Though none say it out loud, all three silently thank the hopeless idiot for giving them a moment to feel like a real family again. The next morning, Yu checks the news and sees headlines praising the sisters' achievements. He sighs, proud but also reminded of the distance between them, and yet for the first time it doesn't feel impossible to bridge.